even as an entrepreneur, I even like to say like a serial entrepreneur, because this is not my only business. I always do try to learn, right? And sometimes you fail and then you learn from that and you try to do something else. So I'm trying to evolve in a way where I can spend time on revenue generating activities, and also take that one step further where my licensed staff, especially my securities licensed staff, can only spend time on things that create revenue for the firm, and then have some support and admin staff that kind of help with that rescheduling dilemma that we all face being in this space or any type of like customer service business, right?
Welcome to the Big Hitters Podcast. And this is a podcast all about understanding what makes good producers, financial advisors, business owners, what makes them tick, how they got to where they are, hacks for time freedom, hacks for time, financial freedom, relational freedom, all things freedom. And so we're here today with Jesse Abshire of Abshire Family Financial. He is a big baller financial advisor. He also has recently started using our company Virtual Assist. Quick plug, we do virtual assistant staffing overseas. And he started using our services and he is balling. So Jesse, man, tell me a little bit about your company, your practice, and how you got to kind of where you are.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me on your show. I'm honored to be here. So Jesse Abshire, founder and CEO of Abshire Family Financial. That's the public-facing brand. I built this company from nothing going on 7 years ago. Was in the private sector for a little bit, and then just kind of saw a lot of like handcuffing and this like kind of like pseudo fiduciary responsibility where if the broker dealer didn't sell it, you couldn't sell it. So it wasn't really serving the client. And that kind of made me just think about other ideas and avenues of how to properly, have a fiduciary and uphold suitability standards to clients. So I built my own jam. And then that kind of evolved into a one-stop shop. So now, if we have a client that comes into the firm, they get to call one number, and that number they get a financial services professional. We got life insurance. I got certified estate planners and estate attorneys on staff. I have CFAs in my back office, strategic planning. We do assets under management that way. And then we do tax advantage planning with a CPA and some bookkeepers on staff, and then obviously retirement planning. So to me as a consumer, that was one of the most valuable things I think we did that made us different. Is now, again, that client can call us and all these services are offered at one place, which makes it a lot easier for the client. So, we started in the first office was actually in New Jersey while we were living here in Reno, and kind of built backwards. Now we have 4 major offices and we're in 16 different states. So, and grateful.
That's incredible. That's incredible, man. You're balling. You're a stud. Hey, out of curiosity, and I'm going to translate this for the audience, but just kind of like annual production thresholds, or like, where are you guys at? Like new assets every year, assets under management, all that kind of stuff.
Well, let's do new assets. So we grew 122% last year without dropping specific numbers. And our goal as a firm this year, I added 4 new junior advisors this year. I also added virtual assistant, AKA your company, to help us with that workload. And our goal is to at least double what we did last year. Right? No, you're good. We're going to expand some portfolio holdings through some strategic partnerships. And we're just super looking forward to the things we're going to be able to offer clients this year.
So what are some things that help you? So, the theme of this is big hitters, time freedom. So talk to me about that. I mean, obviously with all the things you have going on, I'm sure like there's a lot of balls in the air. There's a lot of hats you have to wear. Like maybe help us understand how you've been able to continue to grow at the pace you're growing, and like what are maybe some systems or things that you're doing to keep the business running and running smoothly so that you can just be doing what you're just the best at doing.
Yeah. Well, a friend of mine gave me this book that you might know him. That just kind of like helps you evaluate time a little bit. And even as an entrepreneur, I even like to say like a serial entrepreneur, because this is not my only business. And I always do try to learn, right? And sometimes you fail and then you learn from that and you try to do something else. So I'm trying to evolve in a way where I can spend time on revenue generating activities, and also take that one step further where my licensed staff, especially my securities licensed staff, can only spend time on things that create revenue for the firm, and then have some support and admin staff that kind of help with that rescheduling dilemma that we all face being in this space, or any type of like customer service business, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And then, I do a lot of different things as far as like trying to get people to come in the door. I do the podcast, which is also from a radio show that's on 99.1 through Fox News here in Reno. It's called The Volatile Vet. That's been a completely new adventure that we've been enjoying. That brings in some lead gen, and then about 6 to 9 times a year, I do a full bring out all the cameras and full service like financial seminar. I'll fly in some of my team from other states and kind of showcase what we do as a firm. So, and then we pay for lead gen with our partner in Tennessee.
What are who's your and maybe I don't know if you have this, but who's your ideal client? Like who's your favorite type of person to serve with your business?
The one that has lots of money. No, I mean, I think our ideal client, is someone. It's really like one of two people, right? So it's that one person that's about 5 years away from retirement, that they've been saving. Maybe they have some kids, maybe they own their house, and they're looking for that strategy that, one, is cost efficient, that has some tax planning and some legacy involved, and how do I not run out of money client, right? That's probably the one that we're going to see the most, because they're the ones that are actively thinking about it, right? And then we get that client, let's say like in our age group, where they're like, maybe they've bumped into us, on socials, or they've, heard a radio show or something like that. And they start asking these questions about, hey, what kind of things can I do right now? And those clients are awesome because we have time to do all kinds of stuff. And even if some of it fails, we have time to recover from those and still create a financially suitable asset.
Yeah. Actually, I think if I remember correctly, when we first connected, I remember seeing some of your posts and you were at like movie previews and all sorts of like celebrity type things. Talk about your kind of tie-in with that community and how that all happened.
Yeah. So that's an interesting adventure. So we have an office in WeHo, West Hollywood in Los Angeles, California. And one of my partners down there is a singer-songwriter and a producer. And we kind of started this talk called Entrepreneurialism and Entertainment. And the goal there was, we see a lot of, let's just say actors, actresses, and singers, athletes, etc., right? That they're young, maybe they don't have a team underneath them, they make a ton of money, and then they're broke in 5 years. And our goal was kind of like teaming up and say, hey, let's showcase some of this young talent. We do runway shows down there. We do live performances. We do a red carpet. Obviously, it's fun for the cameras in Hollywood. But we also do financial literacy, and we do classes and give information about, hey, here's some strategic partners that you could have on your team. and put some plans in place so that when you do start making real money, you already have places to put it and a team that is there for you to serve you.
That's awesome.
Hollywood's a different animal.
I would imagine it's an underserved niche. I mean, like, you know, for me as an FA, I don't even know how I would approach someone like that, what their kind of needs are, but I would think it's probably an underserved market. Just kind of now that you explain it, I'm like, wow, these people need help, but I guarantee there's not a lot of FAs that really kind of target that audience.
No, and that's because it depends on who the talent. So the talent would be, right, the artist that is signed with, and the big one in LA or even like across the country, there's two major ones, right? There's UTA, which is United Talent Agency, and then CTA. And they have business teams. And on those business teams, they have, like a wealth manager like me or like an FA like you. And that way it protects everybody's interests, right? Some of the talent signs with these agencies already having a team in place. Like if you think about LeBron James, he brings everybody to the table that he already trusts. Right. So ideally, that's kind of the relationship we're trying to get, where it's like, hey, right now you could choose me and you can choose my firm, rather than having that kind of like appointed to you in the future via your contract with that talent agency.
Transitioning to, something that I've really enjoyed doing with you. So as a business relationship, recently we did a virtual assistant placement for your company. And I've personally, shamelessly, just really enjoyed watching your eyes and mind light up to all of the different ways it's freed you up as a business owner. And one of my big things is freedom in any way and in all ways, right? So freeing you up to do what you're uniquely good at so that you're just living 100% in your wheelhouse. So tell me and our audience, and not as a shameless plug for our company, but just generally speaking, right, what kinds of lessons you're learning and how it's like kind of creating freedom for you in different ways.
Yeah. You say that like it's like this one thing I'm supposed to know, but it's like 100 million things.
Yeah.
and I say that because now there's more time to think about stuff, right? Like, okay, hey, I'm going to put my energy over here. And then once you do that, now you're constantly identifying like, oh, well, hey, now I could maybe reassign this, or I could reassign that, and then I can concentrate more over here. And since I've been putting that into practice, it has given more time to do work on other parts of the business. And now I'm also sending out coaching emails to my junior advisors saying, hey guys, I want you to evaluate 1, 2, 3 things. Let me know kind of where your time suckers are. And I got some ideas of how we could, potentially offload that somewhere else. Because again, revenue, right? If I want my revenue producing people doing that, making revenue. And then obviously we have, assistance, and we can always, call VA and add some more when that time comes, which I have this feeling that the way this is unfolding, that I want to increase my ad spend here in the future and just have a team of VAs that their whole goal is to fill the book.
Yeah.
And
I love that. Talk for 1 second about who the VA is. Like, what's her name? What's she do for you? Like, what kinds of things has she taken off your plate?
Yeah, so her name is Sophia, and she has been a massive asset. And I say that because, one, I really like to empower my staff, where it was like, yeah, I'm going to give you some guidance, but I would like you to have some upper brain function too and have some ideas. And she's come in like guns blazing, having ideas and like things that she's seen in the past. And we've implemented, I'd say probably 70% of those things, which is kind of big for me because that means I have to let go of stuff, and I'm actually proud of me.
Good job. Good job.
But so firstly, like the calendar rescheduling, like reminding, clients, doing like helping other advisors like stay on top of things. We're cleaning up our CRM basically like one state at a time. I've been slowly kind of adding things throughout the week. The big thing that is new right now that we're working on is revitalizing our standard operating procedures and creating a system where if I bring on a new advisor, here's the checklist of everything that's expected of you and all the flow of our workload and our training and all that. So, yeah. And I think that's only the beginning, because once all these things get in place, we're going to think of new things. So, and I'll add this, I spent a week in Mexico about 10 days ago, just kind of like taking a break, and my business didn't skip a beat.
I got a great picture from you. You just texted me saying you were on their jet ski, and you said, while my VA is working. And I just was like, man, that's beautiful. I wish, Jesse, all of our clients were like, they need to understand like the power of that. Because for me, and I have 3 young kids, it's like real freedom. And we talk about freedom is time freedom, right? Because, we're all like high performers. We can all go out and make more money. But at the end of the day, what you don't have more of is time, right? So anything that creates freedom in time so that you can be spiraling up into, really living in your wheelhouse, I think it's invaluable, right?
Oh, and it's the greatest asset we have, right?
Yeah.
Like once we spend that, we can never get it back. So, and I am that guy. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I bring the laptop out, I might have a coffee and check some things in the morning, but when I did it this time, having a different kind of style of how we're trying to do business these days, I had a couple clients that had very specific questions of things that were holding up us getting paid. So yeah, I had a coffee, hopped on a quick Zoom, and then I was done. I worked maybe about 2 hours the whole time I was down there.
2 more questions. AI. So you're using it. I think you're using it, and I think you are for content creation. I've seen you using it a few different ways. You've even told me you are. So how are you using it in your practice? Where do you see it going with the industry?
Okay, well, firstly, a couple years ago, I went to the Wall Street Journal Tech Conference in Laguna Beach. I had the opportunity to meet Sam Altman, who is the CEO of generative AI, right, ChatGPT, and hear him speak about the evolution of AI and how the AI that we're exposed to right now as a society is already it's already 100% past that. We're just the implementation of how we get exposed to it as a species is different, right? So like kind of hearing that from like the people that are building it made me excited to learn it, because I feel like if you're not learning AI or integrating it into your business, you are falling behind every day. So in that scope, I use AI in 2 very specific ways right now. One, I use an AI note taker. So it's either Fathom or Otter AI. So if I'm in a meeting like this with a client or a Zoom, that kind of note taker and visual aid is running in the background. So at the end of it, everything I talk to with that client about as far as strategies, if I showed them pictures or something, it creates this summary. Obviously, it's not perfect. So go in there and edit it. We're not copy and paste it and send it directly to client. But it's also great because now you can just quickly copy and paste it. You can drop that into the case, compliance checkbox, and then you could send a really nice detailed email to the client, right? So I love that. The second part is exactly what I'm going to do when we're done with this call, is I'm going to go in and I'm going to take this 30-minute video or whatever we end up chatting about today, and I'm going to upload it into a system that creates a bunch of different shorts through intelligence and finding very unique talking points that, may be widely viewed in social media platforms.
Is it Opus Clips, or what tool do you use for that? Just so the audience knows.
It is absolutely Opus Clips. Yep.
Cool. Yeah,
I mean, Opus
cool.
Clips and playing a little bit with, what is it? Clip. What is it? Hold on. It's, and CapCut, which is also owned by TikTok.
Okay. All right.
But
are there any, a question I always ask, is there any areas of your business you feel like AI could be helpful, but you're just like not quite sure, if there's the right tool for you, or you like, it'd be really helpful for accounting, or be really helpful for systems and automation? Like what's an area of your business you're like, man, I really wish there was something there for that?
That's a good question. I feel like, when there's like some really like specific questions that I don't know about, let's say like a law question or like some type of like historical stock question, right? ChatGPT knows. So like, I'm just going to say, hey, pretend to be this person and, search this for me. So, I mean, we're using it that way. And, I think as our business continues to evolve, I'm sure that there's going to be many more ways that we will find to integrate intelligence in there. As of right now, I definitely think I'm using it the best way that I can. There is a new tool that I'm looking into called Plaid. So it's this like wearable icon or like a necklace or whatever. And it's really good for in-person meetings, right? So you can just like click it, and then it's recording and note-taking this, like if you're sitting down with like a new client, right? And or having coffee, and it's going to send you a summary of that meeting. The part that I like, especially with Otter AI, is that it shows you pain points. Like it reminds you like, hey, the client was really concerned about not losing money, was really concerned about underperforming, really concerned about legacy. And then you brought up these things. So I like that it breaks those down, because then when you go back to the client, I like to start with the problems, right? So it helps me kind of formulate my plan and how I'm going to approach that in the future.
Is there anything that we didn't talk about today that you would love to talk about just for a hot second? Work, life, business, anything.
Yeah, let's talk about you teaching me how to surf, bro.
Anytime, dude. Yeah, no, Jesse and I have a budding bromance. So we talked about going golfing and surfing. You'll do the golf and I'll do the surfing. But yeah, man. So I've, as people age, so I'm turning 39 in a few weeks, and as many of my friends age, I feel like they're taking up various things like golf. A lot of them are buying smokers and smoking various meats. Some of them are getting into, whiskey. It feels like they're getting into obscure like World War II history or something like that, or collecting things. And I'm like, man, I just want to surf and live in Denver, Colorado, of all places. We're close to the mountains, but every so often I just get a hankering, and I ask my wife, and I'm like, hey, can you just give me a hall pass 2-3 days? Let me just go down to Mexico. I'll go play 18 with you sometime, but if you give me my pick, I'm going to go down to Mexico for a couple days with my boy Waco, and we're going to go catch some waves.
Dude, I think we should do it like a little tradesy where like, I take you to the golf course, give you a couple little lessons there. And then the next day or that afternoon, you reciprocate with some surfing lessons and let me be the fool. Because I'm going to be the fool because I don't know how to surf at all.
Yeah, I'm down anytime.
But as far as good whiskey, right? My wife got me this really cool advent calendar last year from, I think it's called Flavier, something like that. Anyway, every day of the month was a different whiskey.
That's so cool.
So like and there's like a guidebook, and I was like, wow. Why am I loving this so much? But I did find some goodies in there. And then I got really connected to it when I went to a financial conference in Louisville, Kentucky, stayed right on Bourbon Row, learned more about bourbon in 3 days than I've learned in 39 years. So yeah.
That's awesome.
It's fun.
Jesse, thank you so much for being on the Big Hitters podcast, man. Keep hitting them out of the park. Keep pursuing freedom. And then just real quick shout out our company, Virtual Assist. We do virtual assistant staffing overseas. For me, it's been a cheat code. And if you guys find my story online, I had a mental breakdown because owning a small business was so stressful. And one of the things that saved me was a book called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. And then, my cheap labor in the Philippines. And they take everything off your plate that you don't want to do so that you can uniquely do the only 2 to 3 things that you're the best at. And Jesse is living proof of that because he is crushing it with his VA. And I have no question he'll continue to do so more.
And pretty soon it's going to be VA team.
There you go. I love that.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.